Another old sports media relic hating on a youngin coming up in the content creator space as Frank Isola, who does a lot of content, whether it's satellite radio on SiriusXM NBA radio. He fills in on TV on ESPN, and he bounces around. He's a national NBA voice. He has someone that has been in the game for a very long time. Came up as a reporter, journalist, writer, beat writer, turned into a columnist, and kind of turned it into a whole NBA namesake noteworthy career. Kenny Beacham is a youngin' on the come up. He's done a lot of podcasting, but he has grown his brand independently. He has grown his brand through Bleacher Report, through House of Highlights, through TNT, and now he's leveraging it off. He's got a show, I believe, on Peacock. In addition to now, he will now be doing a show on SiriusXM on NBA radio, the same channel where Isola does his show. And Frank Isola was big mad when he was doing a promo read that was promoting the addition of Kenny Beacham to the lineup of SiriusXM NBA radio. So we'll get into the audio here.
All right, the Kenny Beacham Hour with Kenny Beacham, aptly named. God forbid we name it the Frank Isola, Brian Scalabrine Show, but we've only been doing the show here for about how many years now, Brian? 15.
Okay, so already hating. The fact that the show is called The Starting Lineup. Look, I've worked personally, I'll say this up front. I've worked with both of these two in varying levels of degree. I used to work for SiriusXM. I was a producer at SiriusXM. I produced shows on SiriusXM NBA radio, including a few shows with Isola and Scalabrine. And I've also worked with Kenny Beacham when I was working at Bleacher Report in the same type of capacity as a line producer and then later as a tech manager. So I'm very familiar with both of these folks and the type of content they do, the type of audience they get, and the type of reaction that they get from their audience and the online community as a whole. So Isola's doing his shtick. The thing with SiriusXM is when it comes to sports channels, they like to name the sports channels after stuff that is sport related. Like, so obviously NBA channel is going to have shows. I think they have a show called Off the Dribble at one point, stuff like that. Like there's going to be shows that are more inclined with the sport that they're talking about, the starting lineup. Kind of generic, but it kind of fits in terms of NBA radio. So of course it's not going to be the Frank Isola show with Brian Scalabrine because y'all two individually aren't big enough names to have that type of clout. But Kenny Beacham, as you see right here, even from this tweet that Kenny posted, by the way, Kenny's the one that promoted this, the fact that Isola was hating. This tweet has over almost 7 million views. So you hating from inside the club because Isola's inside the club, but he's hating from inside the club now that Kenny's on his way in and he's getting VIP in the back while you had to pay a lot of bread and put in a lot of time just to get a table.
When you walk in first day, they're going to name a show after you. Debuting today at noon Eastern.
Again, he's not walking in the first day. He's walking into SiriusXM first day, but he has been a established brand in this content space. You can't be in the NBA content creator space, whether you're on the linear side, the broadcast side, or the social media content creator side, and not know Kenny. If Isola doesn't know who Kenny is or wasn't familiar with the following that Kenny Beacham has, that's on him. But he's not walking into SiriusXM with no clout. He's walking in with a huge audience that follows him and his content and his brand everywhere he goes.
NBA Radio Channel 86 and the SiriusXM app. And whoever did the read, and Warren wanted me to read this, Brian, he wanted me to write that Mondays just got better, which means our show, they'll be taking an hour off our show, and Warren wants me to write that Mondays just got better because now an hour of our show will be cut.
So essentially, because Kenny does a lot of basketball content. I think he does predominantly NBA content. So it makes sense that they're going to put Kenny's show on the NBA channel on SiriusXM. Like, it makes sense. Where else are they going to put it? They're going to put it on NFL radio? They're going to put it on Mad Dog? No, they're going to put it on SiriusXM NBA radio. That means, and they want to give him a good time slot. They don't want to bury him in the overnights or bury him on the weekends. They want to give him a premier slot because he is a premier talent. Like, again, all this points to your bosses think he should be given a shot in whether it's the morning show or the afternoon drive. Like, there's a few time slots that matter in radio, right? So anywhere from 6 a.m. to about 6 p.m., that 12-hour block. If you have a show during that window, you have a really good chance of building up an audience that will be a returning audience and building a brand up. So they're going to give him an hour on Mondays on the back end of this show, which features Isola and Scalabrine. So yes, they're going to work less, still get paid the same. They're going to work less, and then Kenny gets his show. So I don't know why Isola is hating. Yes, you don't want something that you feel is yours being taken from you. But when you take a step back and be like, well, still getting paid the same, right? They don't get paid hourly, right? So their bread is their bread. But he's hating from inside the club.
Can I just tell you one thing? Right now, you need to calm down. just trust me on this one. Just calm down. All right?
So White Mamba, Scalabrini, he's trying to, this is multiple layered, right? So he's trying to tell me, yo, relax, calm down, be easy here. One, because you're Frank Isola and you're not as big as you think you are. And we're about to expose that in a second. Two, this is company business. And you're getting paid to do this read. Like you're a paid employee. And part of you being a paid employee is to promote other shows and other channels. You're trying to throw shade on a show that is going to be on the channel that you work for, that you get your check from. That's bad business. And three, you clearly don't know who Kenny Beacham is in this space. So you're talking from a spot of not really knowing and not being fully aware or fully being up to speed on who the movers and shakers are on the come up. Kenny Beacham's not a 30-year journalism vet that, bounced around whatever. Like, he's a youngin'. Like, he's still a youngin'. Even though he's getting older himself, he's still a youngin' in relative to the space that is largely occupied by older white dudes, especially when it comes to talking NBA at professional levels.
I mean, give me a break. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Scal is trying to help him out.
Ask you a question. Nationally.
I gave you your warning.
Nationally, who's got a bigger name? Brian Scalabrine or Kevin Beacham? Kenny Beacham.
Kenny Beacham.
Who's got a bigger name, me or him?
Kenny Beacham.
And that's where he has learned. And that's not a joke by Scalabrini. That's him giving him real talk. He is trying to cut through the nonsense that Isola is trying to get off by letting him know, yo, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. This tweet, again, has almost 7 million views, okay? Kenny has a following, right? Kenny has what? He has over almost 600,000 followers on the Elon app alone, and this thing has been aggregated to the point that it has almost 7 million views. You don't know who you're dealing with here. You're old legacy media. You don't know who you're dealing with here. You need to fall back.
Bull.
Frank.
Does PTI?
Okay, so and here's where he exposes himself. Isola still thinks that PTI, the show on ESPN, pardon the interruption, is still relevant in 2026. That show hasn't been relevant for a decade. At least a decade. And Isola's not even the host of that show. He is a fill-in host of that show. And let's be clear, a lot of these shows that are popular, especially during the evening time, that show comes on around like 4 or 5 o'clock. These shows are played in sports bars with the sound off. These shows are played in airport bars with the sound off. Like, people aren't really tapping in that heavy. It's just eye candy as you pass through. So Isola feels though being a fill-in part-time host of PTI is a bigger deal nationally than Kenny Beacham, who has almost 600,000 followers, has a popular podcast with his mans in them, has his own YouTube channel that's putting up buku numbers, and has different brand deals on his YouTube content, and has different shows now on different networks. He has a show on Peacock, he has a show on SiriusXM, and he's still moving independently. That is a bigger deal nationally than just saying I fill in when Kornheiser or Wilbon are sick on PTI.
Who is he? Who is he? He's taking an hour of our show. Warren wants me to write that it just got better. That we're not going to have an hour of our show.
All right.
Yes, because your audience, man, there's so much I can say here because I worked there for a long time. So I can tell you, working with Isola, I was working on his show one time. This was when the Jay-Z 444 album dropped, and I'll come up the screen here. The Jay-Z 444 album dropped. There was a lot of hype around it, obviously, because of the content he was speaking about and just the music itself. So Isola, again, he is a older white dude that, the NBA is a predominantly black space. So he is perceived as cool. Now, he's not actually cool. He's cool amongst a bunch of normally older, more boring white dudes, right? So amongst that space, He's cool amongst them, but when you actually put him around other people that are actually cool, he goes back to what he actually is, the nerd dude in the corner, right? But because he has that scope of I'm the coolest amongst these nerd dudes who, you know, are beat writers or national columnists for NBA, he thinks that puts him on the same level of cool ass players. So he tries to know the culture. Coming back from commercial break, I was playing music from that album, the 444 album that had just dropped, right? And he was trashing the album. Trashing the album. Doesn't sound good. Well, what is Jay-Z saying? I'm trying to explain to him, like, yo, no, he's going in. Like, he's opening up about cheating on Beyonce. He's talking about a lot of stuff on here. He didn't want to hear it because it wasn't commercial yet. It wasn't popular yet. It wasn't the hot topic yet because he's not tapped in with the culture. He only knows what's tapped in with the culture when he's forced to because his algorithm keeps pushing stuff to him. Or when he's around players and he hears what they're playing or they're saying, then he piggybacks off of that. He doesn't naturally have the innateness to know what is cool because he's not. Even though he tries to carry the name Frankie Ice and all this stuff, he tries to have a persona. That's a persona amongst the nerd group that is largely predominantly white journalists. Isola is having a hard time grasping that this is his peak. Having a show on SiriusXM that doesn't have your name in it, being a fill-in part-time host on what used to be ESPN's largest show. Like PTI is now like SportsCenter where you know it exists, but it's not must-see TV anymore. SportsCenter used to be must-see TV. PTI used to be must-see TV. Neither one of those products are of that level. They're just on. They're just there. They're just taking up space. Isola's peak is to be a small part of that. While Kenny, he literally can do whatever he wants going forward. He is on the trajectory, and I saw it early when I was at Bleacher Report and he was doing Through the Wire there. I saw it like, oh, they're grooming him. Like he was putting himself in position to be the face or be one of the faces, right? And he was putting in the work to get better at it. And you saw him getting better over the time I was there. I saw him get better, like markedly better. And I was like, oh, he's got a chance. He's got a real chance to be out of here. And he took the ball and ran with it. He didn't fumble it at all. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be the guys that we're looking at 10 years from now, 15 years from now, if they choose to still be in the game. With the way that they're able to establish their own brands and move independently, Kenny doesn't need to be 20, 30 years in like Isola still trying to get a check. He could walk away at any point because he is a brand unto himself. So as you see here, like the show is going to air only on Mondays at noon Eastern for an hour. And it's not even cutting off the live show. It's cutting off the replay of the starting lineup. And that's the dirty secret with SiriusXM is that I believe that show comes on at 7, the show with Isola and Scalabrini, and then they replay it. They replay an hour of it. So all they're doing is taking off an hour of a replay of the show and putting in Kenny Beacham's show, which I'm going to assume is live or at least will be fresh and new content. So why would SiriusXM not do this? Why would they not take an hour of a replay that's probably not generating any buzz and put in a show that's new, fresh, current with new talent that can help grow your audience or retain your current audience for another hour? Because that's all these things are. All these apps, all these services are all about retention, audience retention. If I'm listening to the show, if I'm listening to SiriusXM NBA radio and I start my day with the Scalabrini and Isola show and that show is over, and then maybe another show comes on, and then after that, I'm listening to all of that, and then they replay Isola and Scalabrini again, I'm not going to listen to that again. Oh, but now you're putting an actual show there? Oh, okay, maybe now I'm going to stay and listen to the Kenny Beacham show because it's a new voice. It's an actual live component. And that's what Isola is not getting because Isola is only concerned about the man in the mirror.